Hey guys, so this jealousy against BTS and Suga in particular is really dark. Yes, BTS Suga underwent 3 hours of questioning at the police station. The press was there, like locusts. Even though they weren't supposed to institute a photo line, they made one anyway. And Suga did release a second apology letter, handwritten, published on Weverse. But does it sound as bad as it does when it's translated? How should we feel about his apology letter and this relentless drive of the Korean public or Korean society or authorities to lynch mob him? And does it look like he is fighting back in his own BTS style? So in a nutshell, I don't think we have to worry too much about where this investigation is going to go and whether Suga has given up. Because if you look and read between the lines of his handwritten letter, I think it actually comes from a place of strength. And we'll go into the letter in a little bit. But I wanted to preface this with facts that show that he is being lynch mobbed. He is being unfairly targeted, because we have to keep this in context. Yes, in the last video, we went over how much of a non-vehicle Suga's scooter was, but how it's being presented in his case as if he were driving a motor vehicle. The jealousy really is very dark when you think about, a lot of you brought up, there was the drunk former baseball player who actually drove a car drunk and caused damage, not receiving nearly the same amount of public vitriol. The First Lady's bribery scandal, organizing a drug ring with multiple deaths around you, stealing hundreds of millions of dollars siphoned from taxpayers, as a politician, as somebody who actually ran for president with suspicious deaths around you, and still being the leader of a political party, or organizing a club to assault customers and collude with police to beat up the whistleblowers and then come back and open up other clubs. The amount of hate against Suga, when you really compare it to how society is positing their hate as a moral issue, is really weird. And I really do think that at the core of this is this feeling, this pangs of jealousy, because what they want to see from Suga is humiliation, shame, as if he owes them something. And this is when you see, when you have the crabs in the bucket, the really salty crabs, who feel like somebody owes them something if they see a member of their own, like BTS, do well around the world. Well, what more do you want? And I think in some ways, BTS Suga's behavior shows that really there is nothing that is ever enough. He went to the police. He showed up. The media forced their way in to create their own photo line. He was there for 3 hours. Now, police say that there's going to be no more investigations. They're going to hand the case off to prosecutors. Now, usually you should worry in that type of situation because the police can say there's nothing here and it's not even worth sending to the prosecutors, because the system of criminal justice in Korea and a lot of places around the world is that the police do the initial investigation in Korea, and then for punishment in front of a judge in a court, the prosecutors then, take the baton and they finish the relay there. However, in this case, because there's been so much heat, and even the police have themselves are saying they're victims of the international media having so much attention and eyes on this that they're feeling pained by it, it looks like they're kicking the can over to the prosecutors. And in some ways, that is a very smart move for the police if you're going to think of, in a very unfair type of society, because they have beef with the prosecution. There's always a competition. So it's great for the police to then see like, okay, let's let the prosecutors take this and let them actually be the whipping boy of the public. So they just handed off the responsibility there. And so the prosecution is most likely going to throw out the case, say that's not enough, or they might go through it and delay it and let it die, or give a slap on the wrist or something, as long as the BTS fans keep their eye on this case, as long as the public is shifting their sentiment against how this is such a witch hunt that could happen to them. This is what happens in dictatorships. This is what happens in banana republics. This is what happens in a third world country. So this is the competing emotion. Again, it's not about Suga. It's not about the law. It's about how the people feel. And if they feel like jealousy towards Suga, they want to forego the law and just try to convict. However, at the same time, if they feel like they are going to be seen as these inferior people who don't know how to operate in a civil society, then they might back off. So in any event, I don't think there's that much to worry about there. But again, it's starting to show a lot of hypocrisy. And this is very ironic. A lot of you guys have been saying, and you don't even live in Korea, about a society that really condones, sanctions, accepts heavy drinking. And when that hit with me in Korea is one time I was really hungover, but I had a brunch appointment the next day, and I felt it would be extremely rude, especially with the excuse that, oh, I drank too much the night before and I can't make it. However, when I showed up, they were just like, no, actually, you should have just told us you were too hungover. And in some ways, that shows the acceptance, that showed to me the acceptance of the drinking culture in Korea, that it is a legitimate excuse to break off your appointment or commitment to other people, I guess in a social setting, and completely understandable that you may have drank too much. Namely, because a lot of the times when you drink too much, it isn't actually your own personal choice. A lot of the times you're coerced or forced or into drinking. So people feel like, oh, if you get to that situation, a lot of the times it's not because you didn't calculate in your mind, oh, I have to go somewhere the next day, so I should be a little bit more conservative with how many drinks. So they understand that. But in this case, wow, so not understanding. So that to me is a specific example of how there's a mismatch, and it's more than about the drinking. It's more than about the device or DUI. That there's something else driving this rather than just a concern over somebody operating a vehicle under the influence when this vehicle is not even a vehicle. We went over the specs last time, but just to put it into even greater context, remember the motor of the scooter is 800 watts. You know what else is an 800 watt electrical device? Your rice cooker, your toaster, your food dehydrator if you have one. That is the same amount of power pull as Suga's scooter. And Suga's scooter was like marketed as 800 watt motor as if it's like a powerful motor. So you know that the specs are probably exaggerating the actual performance. You know what's 1,000 watts? So not even more than the Suga scooter? Your iron, your coffee maker. You know what's almost double the amount of electricity required than Suga's scooter at 1,500 watts? Your air fryer or your electric kettle used to boil water. And you know what takes the cake? Your hair dryer is almost 3 times more powerful than Suga's electric scooter. So why did he show up? Why did he have the bravery and just kind of patience to face the press? It's because that is what this segment of the public who really wants to feel like they're pulling down the crab that's about to get out of the bucket wants. They wanted him to bow his head. A lot of the news leads kept even mentioning the phrase, he showed up and bowed his head. He showed up and bowed his head. And yes, bowing your head and doing that kind of customary thing is just a natural way of greeting people in Korean life. But what they really wanted to see was some sort of like humiliation, shame, and truly giving your power away. And how does this point get really clarified in stark contrast with Minnie Jin? She didn't bow her head. She went into the police station prancing and smiling. She came out of the police station prancing and smiling. And so it is a way of showing to the public at an initial glance, because a lot of the public is not going to do the fine-tooth combing. They're going to just see like on a visual or a headline briefly as they go throughout their day, but yet still judge and convict and be like, wow, Minnie Jin doesn't look guilty at all. She's prancing and smiling at the police station. And then Suga, if he's prancing and smiling, it would even read differently. It would be like, oh, he has no shame. So he was stuck between a rock and a hard place, because a lot of times people will be like, oh, well, he's bowing and he looks like he has, he's in shame. That must mean he did something wrong. He doesn't want to do that. On the other hand, he has to do that because he has to satisfy people's need that, oh, okay, fine. He gave his power away. He's humiliated. He is shamed. And therefore, maybe that feeling of jealousy could be quelled, and then they can move on to their next jealousy Olympics game. And I think that was the calculated risk that Suga had to take, and he was between a rock and a hard place, and there was no way to control the press, I guess, even though at the police station, if the police can't stop you or won't stop you, then it looks like they're actually condoning it, because the police also wants to get this monkey off their back. In that expression, monkey on your back is the problem. And so they want to get that problem off their back and then perhaps shift it over to the press and allow this whole media and circus show. The reason why I wanted to show you a little bit of this is that I don't think that if you look at, a lot of you have said like, let's not share the images of Suga at the police station. And I understand that. But on the other hand, I want to show you that I think if you look at his facial expression, you can see it's more of exasperation. It's more of like, do you guys not see what you're doing and how you are creating such bad karma, in his own words, and how this is really bad for society, and how that he's still being strong. What I was really upset by was that one of the reporters shouted out, why didn't you go immediately to the police station after it was revealed that you were drunk driving? He didn't take any questions from the press. But that showed you the type of kind of this barbed wire approach to trying to trap him. And if you put yourself in Suga's shoes, if you were on that scooter that night, if any one of these people who are being so vitriolic, if they themselves or their family members or friends had that situation happen to them, they would feel like they were in North Korea. They would feel like that they are being targeted, and this is a very dangerous situation that by then going to the police station, you put yourself in a situation where you are going to be charged with false charges. Do you think that any one of these people would ever think that they deserve a DUI case that goes to the prosecution for tripping over their own scooter in front of their house? This whole thing about his blood alcohol concentration, we don't know what it is, but I agree with you guys. A lot of you guys are saying like, we don't know how high it is, but even those false reports, even if you wanted to believe the false reports or the unconfirmed reports that it was 0.227, there's no way that after falling, he would get up that quickly and right himself and then just be coherent like that, as we saw in the CCTV video. I guess they were hoping that there was no CCTV video because then it's just one person's word against another or how they're going to color it. But anybody at that level of blood alcohol concentration would probably stay on the ground and fall and trip and stay on the ground. Yeah, there's no way. Even if you were walking and you tripped at that blood concentration level, you're probably going to be on the ground for at least a few seconds. He was barely there for like 1 second. So this witch hunt, if you applied it to anybody else, people would be so upset with the way that the media is going back to like South Korea's dictator days. If the president or his wife were on that thing and then tripped over, there would be nothing like this. It would be the police fawning over the president or his wife saying, "Are you okay? Oh my gosh, can we get you like a ambulance, or are you hurt?" You know, there'd probably be a goose down comforter and a pillow show up like that to let the person, like let the wife or the president just sleep it off for a little bit. You'd be amazed at how differently this thing would be treated. And if you're wondering ever, like, you know, how is it that there's communism in North Korea and capitalism in South Korea? And, you know, a lot of the times I like to say that, you know, it is beyond the structure of the economy, the military, and politics. At some point, you do have to have the consent of the people. And what I saw in Korea a lot of the times, and in this case is one of them, is that there are some sort of like communist type of elements, not to make it all about like politics, but when people ask about like, oh, you know, like why is it so different between North and South Korea? And, you know, they'll go into like a lot of the policies or statistics or GDP, all this kind of stuff. But really, I think at the core of it is how much you let jealousy run and operate your society, and how much the leaders are exploiting the natural tendency of any society to have jealousy, and how much you let it rise to the surface. Because if you really think about it, communism does not live off and feed off of equality. It really feeds off of jealousy. So I just want you to think about that. This is another topic for another time, maybe even another channel. So it relates though, because you see this relentless push that people want him to apologize over and over again. Well, structurally, okay, why did he write another letter? A lot of the times the court really wants, like if it goes to the court, it's kind of this culture or expectation that you have to write a letter of self-reflection, and that really does affect the ruling. And the criminals in Korean society have also gamed this, and there's a whole cottage industry surrounded on this, that you can pay, I believe the price is about $100 to $300 for a professional to write your self-reflection letter. Somebody else is writing your self-reflection about what you did wrong, and it's writing it in a way where they have experience with how the judges accept it or are impressed by it. Think about that. So of course he's going to write a letter. I don't think he hired anybody to write the letter. I think he wrote it. It satisfies the haters. It lets the wind blow over. It closes the loop on a feeling of justice immediately. So this is why I'm saying again that I don't think that this is about people wanting justice by the law to work itself out. It's more about the feeling. I need to have an immediate feeling that he is sorry, which really means they need to feel like this person is not above the law, but really what they're really trying to feel is that they feel like the success of BTS or other people, they're just kind of lumping successful people in a bucket and feeling like they must have done something that they're not allowed to do to succeed, because there are a lot of people who are like that, but the only ones who really get caught in this type of situation are the ones that don't. That's the ironic part. They're going after the wrong people. But it kind of makes them feel like, okay, well, they're not above the law, neither am I. So the way to solve it is to bring them down many, many notches so that they're just as miserable as you. I hate to say it, and if you've experienced this firsthand with people like this, it's more true and more prevalent than you would think. But at the core of it, it is about the feeling of wanting to destroy somebody who makes you feel less than. You're not enough, so you want to destroy any reminder that makes you feel that you're not enough, whereas that's work that you're supposed to do on your own. If there are, of course, elements in society that are not fair, you work towards fixing that. You don't go after the people who are doing it the right way and feeling like they're taking something away from you. Now, Korean apologies are very, very tricky, because even Korean people will interpret the same words in completely different directions. And for manipulators, that's a great thing for them. But for people who actually want to apologize, it's a little bit of an odd place for you to be, because you have to over-apologize, and in some ways, people will take advantage of that and think that, oh, you're guilty. In other ways, that is the way that apologies are generally done in like this coded language, even in kind of an American English context. You know, if somebody's like, oh, I'm so sorry, oh my God, I'm so sorry, it's my fault. The expectation is that there's a bit of the response back would be like, oh, that's all right, don't worry about it. Or, oh, I'm sorry too, you know, I also did something wrong, but that only comes out when somebody is very effusively apologizing. And so in this type of situation where Suga is communicating to thousands of people, maybe even millions of people at once, that is a very hard message to get across. And I know like a lot of the translations though in the beginning of his apology made it seem like, oh my gosh, he sounds defeated. However, because he says like, I wish to apologize to everyone with a shameful heart, or there were some other like heavy languages, and I want to say that it's not necessarily shame. It's not as bad, like the words that he used. It's a little bit more of, when you take the word 부끄러운 마음, it's a bit in between shame and embarrassment. Even one synonym is bashful, but bashful seems a little bit too whimsical. But it's more about, yes, it's a heavy heart. I would have translated it more towards like with a heavy heart with remorse. So that shows that he's not hating on himself and thinking that, oh, he's such a bad person. And the fact that he ended that sentence with like, I want to deliver this again, that could be coded in the sense of like, yes, I mean, on the surface, it's supposed to sound like, yes, this is such a bad situation. I need to apologize again. On the other hand, it gives a little bit of the connotation of like, look, you weren't satisfied the first time. I need to give it to you again. And so the reason why I take it this way in a more of a position of strength is that he is not apologizing to his haters. He is not apologizing to the psychopathic element of society who wants him to look defeated. He's apologizing directly to his fan base, which is essentially his power base. Not that he's thinking of you guys as a power base, but the people that really, really matter. And also, as coded language to people who want to continue to pick at him, is that he's reminding them that there is a BTS army around the world backing him up. He says, I deeply apologize for disappointing and hurting fans and everyone who has loved me due to my wrongdoing. So these are the people that he wants to address and say that are the top priorities in this situation. And he said, this next sentence I think is much more revealing. I have done something very wrong after forgetting I should be paying back all the love I have received with the right actions. So this is more of a sense of gratitude. And this is why I think the wording is very clever here, because in some ways the haters want to be paid back for something that has been taken away from them by society. So in some language, it's kind of tricking them in the sense like, oh, he's going to pay us back this feeling. But really what he's saying is that I have so much love around me. I did something wrong. Yes, I'm going to admit, but I have to be very grateful and remember who I am, that there are a lot of people supporting me. And you really want to be in that gratitude type of place in order to fight something like this and remind people that who support you and love you that you are grateful, because they will keep supporting you. And in that sense, that will help you carry on. He said, on the night of August 6th, I made the mistake of riding my electric scooter on the sidewalk after drinking. I also apologize for the confusion my hasty first apology on August 7th caused, but I didn't really go into the details that you don't need. The fact that he called it a kickboard instead of a scooter, we went over that in the last video. Even the manufacturer uses those two terms interchangeably, and when you look at the tech specs of the device, it's more of a kickboard, not a scooter. He said, I should have thought more deeply and been more careful, but I didn't. It's all my fault. My indiscretion has caused hardship for all of you who care about me. So see, this is the distinction. So like, yep, this is all my fault. That's going to satisfy the haters. But then he's saying like, I didn't cause hardship for you haters. I caused hardship for the people who care about me. BTS Army, his friends and family, his fellow BTS members. I will try to live in remorse and never do the wrong thing again. Now he addresses the part of BTS itself and his members. This has put a huge dent in the precious memories I've made with our members and our fans and tarnished the name of BTS. Now a lot of the media focus on, oh, he's saying he tarnished the name of BTS. But he's really trying to say that he wants to protect our community of BTS Army here, and he's not, you can trust him. So here in this sense of apologies most of the time, yes, are meant to address the immediate thing you did wrong, but moving forward, it's all about whether you accept the apology. A lot of the times depends on whether I can trust you moving forward. And he's trying to say, you can trust me that I'm not going to mess up our BTS Army or community. I'm going to be a lot more careful in the future. He says, I'm deeply sorry and painful beyond words for the damage I caused to the members and the team. So now he is really focusing on, first it was BTS Army, and then now BTS members themselves. A lot of these selfish psychopaths, they would focus more on themselves, how they were wronged, and then go into BTS members and the staff, and then Army last. But he's putting Army first, and then also BTS, and he's putting himself last. I'm sorry that the members who have always believed in me have gone through a difficult time because of me. So he's also addressing, and in some directly to his members, like he's sorry, but then also coded messages saying like, you know, all you haters are going after people that are not even in one way or another involved in this incident at all, but you're penalizing BTS. Why? You hate all of us. I'm also very aware of the disappointment that the fans who supported and cheered me on must have felt, so he's reiterating again. I apologize to the fans who have always given me more love than I deserved. Again, being very humble with this and being very grateful and reminding everybody that there's a lot of people who love him. I know that no words can heal the hurt and disappointment you have felt, so I deeply regret my actions and reflect on them with a heavy heart every day. So he is telling us that he is suffering. He has a heavy heart. That works for both the haters and then also his supporters. Once again, I sincerely apologize to all fans who have been hurt by my actions. Once again, because he's already said this multiple times, this is an apology to the fans. I will accept criticism and reprimand as well as any future punishment with humility. He's being humble. And lastly, I would like to bow my head and apologize once again for the social controversy and disappointment I have caused to many of you. Now, as at the end, the last priority are the haters, are the people who are attacking him, the people who are against him. They, in some ways, this is smart because they get the last sentence, but they came last, where they should be. All these people just hating on him and trying to use this as some sick witch hunt to solve some sort of personal issues and gripes they have. And instead of addressing mental health with the wonderful healthcare system in Korea, they want to do it through situations like this. So overall, I think this shows that definitely there has been a witch hunt against BTS Suga. That this does expose an element of Korean society that has been there a lot of the times and operated through this kind of like this strain of dark jealousy. And it's really up to the Korean public and Korean civil society to see how much they want to let dark jealousy run and operate their institutions. You can do whatever you want in your private life, even though that also has ramifications to a lot more people and situations. However, how much of it are you going to let suspend justice, the law, and due process? A lot of you guys have also mentioned that it was very comical to hear that the police now said that, oh, we wanted to address the issue of whether his scooter required a license. We checked. They checked with the department in the government that handles that, and they said, oh, this device does not require a license plate. Therefore, it's not on the level of a motorcycle. A scooter that you drive on the actual streets of traffic with cars, you definitely need to have a license plate and insurance. This one does not require that. And people are just like, how could you have convicted him as if he were driving a motorized vehicle in that class and then only find out now that it's not? And we've seen the photos of even people who bought the same model They carry it up the stairs, they put it in the elevator. Some people may even store it in their bathroom if you hear the marketing language of the scooter manufacturer. Park it next to your front door like it's a tricycle. Alright guys, what do you think? What do you really think about Suga's second apology? The fact that he had to go to the police station in front of all the media like that, even though they weren't supposed to be doing that, and how it compares to the rest of the scandals going on in Korea, and whether what you think should be done to then balance the scales. Because yes, BTS Army is a much more patient and kind fandom, but that doesn't mean everybody in the fandom is not going to work to try to balance the scales and give the haters a taste of their own medicine. What should it taste like? All right, guys, put your comments below. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.